F1, or F1 the movie as it's marketed for some people, is a new sports drama starring Brad Pitt, directed by Joseph Kosinski, namely known as the director of Top Gun Maverick. In this movie, Brad Pitt plays a washed-up, has-been race car driver named Sonny Hayes. He is recruited by an old friend of his, played by Javier Bardem. Javier Bardem is the owner of a Formula One race car team, and they're fucking horrible. They finish last in everything, they don't have any points on the board, and they're gonna turn the season around quickly, or he's gonna be forced to sell the team by the end of the year. So he brings in Sonny Hayes to be the new lead driver for the team, pairs him up with a young rookie hotshot played by Damson Idris. These two drivers have different generations, different personalities, they clash, there's a little bit of a rivalry there, but they gotta learn to work together to save the team and save the season. This was one of my most anticipated movies of the whole year. I mean, I'm a big fan of Brad Pitt. He's one of the best movie stars that's been going right now. I mean, you think best movie stars in the business, you think him and Tom Cruise. I mean, the fact that these guys are in their 60s and look the way they do and perform the way they do, it's remarkable. I also love me a good sports movie, and I feel like with racing movies, that's a pretty good pocket to stay in. It's very difficult, in my experience anyway, to really fuck up a racing movie. Because even if it is old-fashioned and follows a very, dare I say, formulaic, no pun intended, style, it can usually work. But what really won me over with this movie, what made me so hyped for it, was Joseph Kosinski coming to direct this. I mean, the guy directed Top Gun Maverick, which I think is one of the best sequels I've ever seen. I think it's one of the best movies of recent years. Like, yeah, we still got about half a decade to go, but I imagine when the 2020s are all said and done, Top Gun Maverick would probably find a spot somewhere in the top 10 best movies of the 2020s. You can fight me on that if you want, but I legitimately think so. And when I saw the trailer for F1, this just looked like the type of movie that he could recapture the magic of Top Gun Maverick with. I mean, Formula One race car driving is some of the most intense racing in the world. It's, you know, it's like what Javier Bardem says. If you win in Formula One, you're the best driver out there. I knew he was going to put you right in the cockpit of these vehicles. You would feel yourself driving. You would feel like you were there on the track in this race. I wanted that. I wanted to be sucked into this world of Formula One, and that's what I was hoping he could capture here, in the same way he did Top Gun Maverick. And yeah, you're already hearing people say that this is the summer blockbuster we all sorely needed this year. And you know what? I have to agree with them, because this movie was gas. So we'll get the obvious out of the way right now. Brad Pitt, he's awesome in this. Because he brings that very Brad Pitt, charismatic, sort of kind of cocky, but not really cocky, sort of a very confident sort of swagger to himself. Like, he's known as the best that never was. He was on pace for a great career, then something happened that made him basically have to step away from racing. And then he comes back in and he immediately knows how to help the team, how to operate these vehicles, how to better the team in these races. But because he's maybe a little overconfident at times, there are times when the team is kind of butting heads with them, other racers are butting heads with them, but Javier Bardem is trying to let people be like, no. We gotta stand back and just let this guy cook. I love seeing that. I love seeing someone come in, it's like, I know you need my help, I know you need my saving, and I'm here to do that. And then kind of just proves himself along the way. I thought it was great. Also, I really liked Javier Bardem in this role. It's a little bit different than the roles that I'm kind of used to seeing him in. I mean, we're used to seeing him play the antagonist. We're kind of used to seeing him play these very standout characters in a way. And not that this character doesn't stand out necessarily, but for me, it was a different role that Javier Bardem is kind of used to playing, but I thought he did a really good job. Because what I love seeing him is he's this owner under immense pressure. He's like, I gotta turn this team around or I'm gonna lose everything. People will be out of jobs, you know, our drivers will be out of teams, like, I gotta change this. And so he turns to an old friend of his who's definitely on the back nine of his career, was basically out of the career, but feels like he's got something left in the tank. Again, no pun intended, but he's like, I'm gonna bring you in, we're gonna see if you can steer this around for all of us. You know, he's like a sports owner who's on his last chance, on his last resort, and he sees Sonny Hayes as that last chance. I think it's because I'm such a diehard sports fan, when you see situations like that, it's very reflective. Like, you look at certain teams where a team's been horrible for a whole season, or God forbid, a very long period of time, you know, shit starts to become very added weight. There's a lot more pressure that goes into it. It's like, you gotta keep fans around. You gotta get people to be invested with your team or your sport or your culture. And sometimes the only way to do that is to give fans hope, give fans a reason to be excited. The only way you're going to do that in sports is to win. I really felt like he captured what a sports owner is supposed to be like, and I really appreciated that. But yeah, I gotta get into the other standout in this movie, the big standout in this movie. I thought Damson Idris, who plays like the rookie race car driver that gets partnered up with Brad Pitt, I thought this kid was great. I can't recall anything I have seen this guy in, but I thought he did a really good job here, and he really captured the character very well in what he needed to be. Because he comes in, he was that highly touted rookie, he's having a pretty good season for himself, not quite ready to lead the team, but you can see immense talent and immense potential in him. But at the same time, comes into the league, maybe with a little bit of a big head, has a huge ego to himself, loves being in the spotlight. Like initially, he kind of feels like a guy who's not really so much about the team or about winning. He's about what the sport can do for him, the fame, the fortune, the life he can set up for himself and the people he cares about. Because again, that's another element in sports that I really like this movie touched on. There are people who maybe love the sport that they're a part of, but are they very passionate about winning and being the best that they can be? Or are they just passionate about the lifestyle? Like someone had another quote, I'm going to reference football for a second, but someone said something that's like, there are athletes in the NFL who love football and love being a football player, and there's a difference there. And that's absolutely true. You could say the same thing in this one. It's like there's some people who love racing, and there are some people who love being race car drivers, and this kid kind of feels a little bit more like a race car driver. Like maybe he isn't fully aware that if the team does really bad, it's not going to mean good things for him. It's not going to reflect very well on him in the sport. And again, this is where the chemistry between him and Brad Pitt comes in, because there is an immediate rivalry in between these two guys. You know, both have methods to the way they race and how they operate and how they feel a race should be won and how you should go about it. As a result, they're never really on the same page. You know, Damson just doesn't like that this guy has come in and is now the new lead of the team when, you know, he felt like that was something that he was going to be entitled to. And Sonny Hayes doesn't like looking at this kid and the fact that he's very arrogant, just loves being in front of the cameras and isn't really paying attention to what he could advise to the team that would help. But at the same time, along the way, you do feel like there is progression here. It's not like overnight they just wake up and decide to be friends one day. You see real progression in a relationship. Like along the way, they each do things, or they each learn more about each other, and it starts to reach more of a point when it's like, okay, I get you. And once they reach that point, it feels earned. It's like you know you'll get to that point for the sake of the story, but you want to believe it, and in this movie, you completely do. Also, as someone who is not a fan of Formula One racing, I'll be honest, I don't really watch too much racing as far as sports that I tend to look at, but I really appreciate what I got out of this. Just the work that goes into building these cars and, you know, the work that goes into the fueling and the changing, like everything the crew has to do in order to get the car up and running in between laps. I mean, I obviously knew that was a thing, but I didn't really understand the full work that goes into it. And this movie really gives you an appreciation for it. It's like not only are they on standby to fix a car, but sometimes there's a method for when it's time to come in and get fixed, or when it's like, no, we can stay this out here. We can leave the car out. We can ride this out. And in a way, while it's riskier, it might improve your chances of moving up a spot in the race. It was very interesting. Like, gives you more of an appreciation. Like, it's not just racing around a track 100 times. It's, you know, there's points here. There's a method to all of this. There is a game plan. Gave me more of an appreciation to actually see the strategy that goes into racing. And yeah, when it comes to the actual racing itself, because this is what easily I was the most excited for going into it, the racing in this movie is phenomenal. I was hoping Joseph Kosinski would put us right there on the track, and he absolutely does. Especially if you see this movie in IMAX like I did. Because you feel like you're there, like the way the camera's set up, where you feel like you're right there in the cockpit, you're driving the car, you're going through all these turns, you're evading crashes, you're getting crashed into. Just the sound design, the look, the camera work, it's unreal. And more than that, what this movie does so well is it makes you care about the sport and the characters. So when a race is going on and you see the team moving up in the race, looking like they got a shot at winning or a shot at getting to a place where they need to get to, you are so on the edge of your seat and you are rooting for it so hard. Like, it really does feel like watching your favorite team play and you're freaking out and you're really hoping they can pull it off, and if they do, it's like a euphoric experience, and when they don't, it's just sadness. I love that this movie was able to make me feel those feelings. It made it feel real. Like, I was completely sucked into this world of racing, and it was awesome. As a result of that, does the movie make me feel a little bit formulaic? Does it feel like a little bit old-fashioned? Sure, it does. But look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, we've seen it a million times over. Old guy comes in, has to mentor a team, get paired with a young hotshot rookie. The two of them are at odds. I mean, hell, we basically saw this in Top Gun Maverick, but guess what? It completely worked for Top Gun Maverick. It completely works here. Some storylines out there will just never get old if they are done the right way, and Joseph Kosinski knows how to take these storylines and use them the right way. As far as some flaws that I have with this movie, I will say the movie's around 2.5 hours long, but I'm not about to look at you guys and say the movie was too long or anything like that. If I'm being honest, I think my biggest flaw with the movie is it moves through some of the racing a little too quickly. Like, at one point it does a little bit of a montage, not like a massive one, but a little bit of one where you catch glimpses of the race going on in certain destinations or on certain tracks. And I'm gonna be honest, I loved the racing so much and the whole sequence that went into it and the feeling of just being on the tracks. I wanted to experience more of it. So like when we just get these brief looks at each of these races, I was kind of sitting there like, oh, I was very much looking forward to feeling like I was there again. Now, I'm not going to say there's not enough racing in this movie. There is. I was just so greedy I wanted more. And yeah, I know, I understand they were going to do that. Movie probably would have been around 3 hours long, but I would not have complained, I'll tell you that. So all in all, F1, it's the kind of summer movie blockbuster we are all asking for. Brad Pitt was awesome in this movie. Damson Idris was awesome in this movie. I thought Javier Bardem was awesome in this movie. Really, the entire cast, there wasn't a false note anywhere. Love the dynamic between Brad Pitt and Damson Idris, how they start off as rivals, maybe grow and learn to understand each other, and how they're gonna work together to get the team to where it needs to be. I appreciate just how much this movie delved into Formula One as a sport, the strategy that goes into it, the team behind it, everything that is involved in a strategy and how to win. The actual racing itself, feeling like you're in the car, feeling like you're on the track, feeling like you are there in that race between the sound and the camera work. It was phenomenal. Can't say I've had a feeling like that since I saw Top Gun Maverick, so thank you, Joseph Kosinski, for bringing that feeling back again. Also, the music in this movie, I mean, between the songs you get thrown in there, between the score designed by Hans Zimmer, it was all great. You compose yourself a great score for the racing sequences, only takes it up that much more of a level. In the end, this is just the fun time at the movies this summer that we all want and crave, and this is without question one of the best movies I've seen so far this year. I'm gonna give F1 a 9 out of 10, which makes this movie wicked awesome. What's even more awesome, though, is seeing original movies like F1 and Sinners not only be excellent, but absolutely crush it at the box office. So for the people out there who are on your knees begging for more original movies, this is the way, folks. This is how they happen. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.